Call to order this meeting of March 1st of the Fitchburg Board of Public Works. We have a full quorum attending tonight, Mr. Wilborn and Dave Herbst in chambers. Zooming in, our city engineer, Bill Balke, Sarah Schroeder, Kim Lebdell, and Michael Granetsky. First, public appearance for non-agenda items. Is there anyone on for that, Scott?
No, sir, there is not.
There is not. Then we'll move on to agenda item number 3, approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the January 25th, 2021 meeting minutes?
I so move we approve January 25th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Moved by Wilborn. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Labdell. Any questions? All right. Seeing none, all in favor of approval of the January 25th, 2021 meeting minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, approval of February 1st, 2021 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Granetsky. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Labdell. Discussion, any changes, suggestions? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of the February 1st, 2021 meeting minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. I also need to mention, also on calling in today is Director of Parks, Scott Endel. Okay. 3C, approval of February 15th, 2021 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Granetsky. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Schroeder. Any questions, suggestions, changes? Okay. I see no one, everyone nodding no. Okay. All in favor of approval of the February 15th meeting minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, agenda item number 4. Nomination of Board of Public Works member to the Transportation and Transit Committee. So at this point, I would entertain someone willing to nominate one of our members to the Transportation and Transit Committee.
I will nominate myself.
Thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Any objections?
Quickly do it before.
I got my second right in there.
Second by Labdell. Any discussion? Anyone want to arm wrestle Michael for it? No, okay. Then, all in favor of appointing of Michael Granetsky to serve a term on the Transit and Transportation Committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
We appreciate your service.
Welcome.
All right. It's kind of, sometimes I always say it's, thank you for doing this, kind of like being named the captain of the Titanic after it hit the iceberg. Not quite that bad. No, I'm just kidding. Just a little levity.
It's a pleasure and honor.
There we go. That's what I like. Thank you for that attitude. I appreciate it. Okay, let me get back to where I was here. So we have some review items, and we're going to do 5A first. Pickleball courts feedback, and I believe, Scott, you're going to lead this discussion? Scott, are you there?
I certainly can if you like me to, Dave.
I would like you to lead us off on this.
Very good. You do have an agenda item, resolution R5321 on your agenda for tonight, which is basically acceptance of bids that were received. The engineering department was thankfully allowed us or helped us put together the bid for the pickleball courts. And there is some community support for this project. So this is I guess communication that we did, that the city, or actually the mayor, did receive regarding this project. I don't know if you want me to talk more about the project in details now, Dave, or wait until that resolution number is introduced? But again, this is, correspondence that the mayor has received regarding that resolution R 5321.
I just got a couple questions. We'll have some more when we get to discussion.
Well, no, I'll ask the question.
Go ahead.
Because- Well, my question is, I'm a little bit off on this because I don't even know what you're talking about, that's all. And I'm sure there's a lot of people at home that don't know what pickleball is either, but I don't.
Scott, we'll let you take that one.
Well, in actually pickleball, if you're familiar with tennis, the sport of tennis, pickleball is really, it's the same type of game, but it's played on a smaller court, which basically has a net similar to tennis. And they actually play with a paddle and a wiffle ball, is what it is. So it's really, it's really popular with with ex-tennis players that aren't able to, maybe motor around like they used to. But it's also a good introductory sport to the game of tennis. If you played tennis or are familiar with tennis, it is a bit of a hand-eye coordination skill type of sport. But pickleball is, they're doing the same things, but it's less. I want to say you don't need to have as good of hand-eye coordination, but it is a good introduction to the game of tennis. It really has become very popular. All of our neighboring communities have actually put in designated pickleball courts. What we've done here in the city is you can convert in that you can paint pickleball lines on tennis courts. There's different boundaries and sidelines and those kinds of things. So we do have those painted at Swan Creek and McGaw Park. So we do have, and actually Wildwood. So we do have some tennis courts that are painted with pickleball lines so they can play the game of pickleball. Does that help explain the game of pickleball?
Well, do you shorten the net, tune in, or what?
Yep, the nets are shorter in length, from one end to the other, and they are shorter in height. The pickleball court is actually, you can put a pickleball court inside of a tennis court, and that's what we have done with some of our tennis courts here in the city. And I know the senior center, if you're familiar with the community center, there's the Oak Hall room, which is upstairs. They actually bring in a net and play pickleball inside the community center during the winter. So that might give you an idea that you don't need as big a space as you would with tennis.
Thanks for your information, I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, there'll be more, I guess we'll have some more discussion when we get to the agenda item. Any of the board have anything else they want to ask? Go ahead, Sarah.
And I guess I don't know if this is the wrong time to discuss this or if you do want to discuss it later, but I guess I would just love to say that I tried to calculate how many emails I've received, and I believe I've received 25 emails in favor of the pickleball courts, and one email that they were not pro the pickleball courts due to cost. But just from my perspective, this is something that has definitely garnered a lot of attention from constituents, and that there's a lot of interest in pickleball, and that taking the effort to email people and really showing their support for this resolution, I think speaks a lot to the initiative. And I guess one last thing just in regards to pickleball, I know that the sports and fitness industry just released a comparison from 2019 to 2020, and they specifically called out pickleball as being a sport that's just exploding. And from those years, they estimated that it's increased in volume 21.3%. So from my perspective, I think that these are just really showing that there's an interest from our residents and that there's also data supporting that this sport is gaining traction.
Thank you, Sarah, very appropriate. Appreciate it.
And if I might just add a comment, thank you, Sarah, in regards to the funding for this development. The funding is from parkland fees and fee in lieu of, or parkland fees and park improvement fees. So there are no tax dollars, if you would, that are going to the construction of these courts.
Thank you, Scott, appreciate it. Anything else on this? All right, let's move on to agenda item 5B, update on Lacey Road reconstruction meeting. Bill, would you, is Andrew on? I don't think Andrew was on here.
No, Andrew's not here tonight.
So Bill, can you, I've watched the meeting twice now. The board members have been sent questions or comments, from a group of neighbors. Do you want a high-level summary of some of the issues that were discussed or brought up during the presentation on I believe it was on the 17th?
Sure. I'll try to remember as many as I can. Yeah, I guess I'm off mute, so just had to check. I'll try to remember as many as I can. Lacey Road reconstruction from essentially the Badger State Trail to Fitchburg Road is slated to be conducted or completed in 2022. We've been working on a design for that project over the past year or so in concert with Promega Corporation, who is doing the design for the improvements required for their development as part of the tax incremental finance district. Based upon the development that they're doing there, there's certain improvements in the area that need to be made specific to transportation, utilities, trails, bicycles, things like that, that meet our comprehensive plan and our long-range plan for transportation. So their plat line for their development that they're currently constructing. Let me bring up a map here. Screen. All right. So the area that we're talking about is the area for Promega, which is located here at the intersection of what is Sub-Zero Parkway and Commerce Park Drive. And their development, as well as the Sub-Zero expansion, are driving a number of improvements to the traffic and transportation system. Their plat line ends approximately right up to this point here. So they're responsible for everything to the east of this intersection or of that area to make the improvements for roadway, utilities, et cetera. The city of Fitchburg has a project that we're adding on to that, which would take it from the plat line down to almost the intersection at Fitchburg Road. And that project that we're going to try to get done together with the project that's going on for the Promega, corporation, will be all done at the same time. We chose to look at the area. We did a transportation study to determine, the traffic volumes that were out there, the number of accidents along the corridor, what we could do to improve those, and take into account the future volumes of traffic that would be coming through the area. And came up with a cross section that would work for that for the next 25 to 50 years. The section that we chose was two 11-foot travel lanes, along with 2 4-foot bike lanes and a 2-foot bike buffer on that. That would be on the road. We reduced the curb and gutter size from 3 feet or 2.5 feet down to 2 feet. So we're using a smaller curb and gutter size for that to try to reduce the footprint that would impact the area adjacent to that. We were also proposing a bike path that would be along the north side of the road, which would connect from Seminole Highway all the way down to Fitchburg Road. We currently have a trail on Fitchburg Road that's adjacent to the apartments that are there. that goes up to Quarry Hill Drive, no, Quarry Vista Drive, sorry, and then terminates there. That eventually we'll be picking up and continuing on to the north to the Quarry Ridge Park. The overall, we had about 25 people that came to the public meeting and voiced concerns and support for different parts of the project that were in support of, for instance, a roundabout at the intersection. Based upon the input that we had support in favor and against bike lanes being on the road, and in favor and against the curb and gutter or having a rural section of roadway there. There were a number of questions that were posed regarding to that involve future development. And what we're doing there is because the questions that were posed crossed a number of divisions, within the city, such as planning, finance, economic development, and engineering. We're dispersing all those questions. We're hoping to have answers to all those by the end of the week. So we are working on, the long list of questions that came out. Some can be addressed. Some still need some decisions that need to be made. And there's still some room for improvement to the current design. We'd like to go forward with what we have, but it's not 100%, for certain that we have to have, for instance, a sidewalk on the south side of the road, but we should be planning for it for future development that could happen in the next, 15 to 25 years. So even though it won't go in possibly right now, we should be looking at that for, future conditions. So that's high level what we have right now. Specifically, if you want to ask, specific questions, I can see what answers we have for those, because I know we've been working on them as a team over the past week.
Just let the board know, I think calling in is one of the residents, Jay Hockmuth, our Guten Abend, Jay, Vigetasinen, is on the phone, who several neighbors put this together. So if you want to ask Jay, have a comment for Jay, you can also, but I'll open it up to the board for questions to Bill, or if you want to address something to Jay, who put this document together. But I'll open it up to the board here first.
Well, I'd like to ask you, Bill, is I guess for that project area there, I think more than enough with a bike path. I can't really see putting bike trails out on the road there. If you have a good bike lane that's connected to other bike lanes, I think that's more than enough for that area. My personal opinion. Okay? I just don't think we need to go to that width and that expense to put bike lanes on each side of the road.
I feel strongly the same way. So that's one of the issues. Other board members, comments, questions? Again, we are keeping this. We're trying to set it up for, for future. I don't want to have to come back and do anything on the road again, in 5 or 10 years. But we are keeping it a two-lane road. One thing we're planning to, Bill, am I correct, would we be cutting down the hill for better sight view and trying to cut the corner down some? Is that correct?
Yeah, there's improvements along the alignment, both vertically on the hill and the curvature of the roadway that we're straightening out to improve sight distance through the corridor.
Okay.
No, I didn't see anything during the meeting that addressed the quarry traffic. There's a lot. I mean, I'm kind of out for walks and in and around that area quite a bit, and see a lot of the trucks coming from the quarry on both the north and the south side. Are there any improvements that we're working with Hammersley? Is that just going to kind of be free flowing trucks coming in and out? What is that going to look like?
What we've done there is we've lined up the two quarry entrances across from each other. So right now they're
Yep.
offset by about 200 feet or so, 150 to 200 feet. And what we've done is we've lined those up right across from each other so you won't have the trucks entering traffic, slowing down and exiting again, going back and forth between the scales and the quarries. So that's one improvement that we're making there, to line those up and shorten the distance from between the driveways.
Okay. And that's an excellent idea. I'm glad to hear that, because the other big thing with that is there's a lot of wear and tear in that little 200-foot section of the road. There's a lot of gravel that gets dropped from one to the other, and then just kind of gets pounded in by the truck itself or by other trucks kind of coming in. So that's great to hear that that's under consideration.
Bill,
Bill,
go ahead, Kim.
Bill, have you looked at, one of the comments, I read all the questions that came from the email that we received, had to do a lot with trees, the mature trees and those kinds of trees around there. Are we trying to do anything with that, or are you inventorying them so we will know which trees have to go and which ones don't, or where do we stand on the tree issue?
We're going to be hiring a consultant to go out and do the tree inventory. We're meeting with the forester on Thursday with our team meeting to go over, where broadly, with the trees that might be impacted, to see, how much would be impacted and what we would be getting out of that inventory. So, yeah, that's something that we're looking at.
Okay, thanks.
Good question. Any other ones for Bill?
I was just curious, you'd mentioned that you're working on getting the answers to the questions that you received. How will you be publishing the responses? Is there another neighborhood meeting that's scheduled, or will you be posting the answers to the website, or is there a plan for that?
We'll at least be posting it online, question with a response. So we've got a lot of information to get together and put out there regarding the questions. So we just want to be accurate with that. And, if there's decisions that need to be made, we'll be making, those known at that time as well.
Will there be formal approval at all of the typical section? I remember on the piece of Lacey from Fish Hatchery to Cyene, I was on TTC at that point in time. In the typical section, they made a presentation as to, what impacts there would be. Same type of thing, multi-use path, terrace on one side, sidewalk on, and then the lanes and that type of thing. Or is this all just going to be handled internally through the engineering department?
No, we'll come forward with a final cross-section through TTC and the Board of Public Works.
Any other questions for Bill before I jump in? First one, Bill, do you know, is there a estimated lifespan? Do you know how much longer those quarry operations would be running? Do you have any sense of that? I know that's, they're private businesses, but any sense? Are they quarried out in 20 years?
One of the quarries did renew their permit for 10 years.
Okay.
That was last year, so they're good for 10 years at least.
Okay. The second question I have, I'm not aware of any city requirement that we have to have bike lanes, and a pedestrian path. Am I correct? There's no requirement. There's nothing the state is trying to force down our throat on that.
No, there's no forcing, but it is a recommended practice to from the National Bike Associations to have the bike lanes for commuters and the path for, family residential traffic, just to keep them separated.
All right, I just want to be very clear. There's no state requirement doing that. It's a practice the city has recommended, but we're not forced to do that. Okay. Any other questions?
Are we getting some type of federal funding for that bike path and the bike trail like we did on Lacey?
There is some state funding that's involved with it, and the way the grant is written, it did include that as part of the improvements for the area. So if we wanted to change that, we would have to renegotiate that contract with the state with those bike lanes.
Yeah, I'm not interested in trying to re-engineer it here at this meeting tonight. I just wanted to get feedback, but I would say, I would like a rec trail, maybe make it a little wider and put a line down the middle and not have the lanes on the road. I ride bike as much as someone that works 50 to 80 hours a week can around here, but I ride all the trails. There's no really commuting place to go. It ends, if you keep going, you run into the big oak tree that unfortunately, some young people lost their life at down at the bottom. It's trail down to Fitchburg, and I just feel for the money. For the money, we'd be better off with a good multi-use trail that people could use. And the example I would give you, I ride the trail from Camp Randall, out to the Beltline quite often, probably once we get in the summer, once or twice a week. And there is not a busier spot except for not John Nolan Drive. And there are people riding fast, there are people in strollers, rollerblades, and we all manage to get along and safely do it. And I think we could do the same thing here. But again, I'm not trying to redesign this at this meeting tonight, Bill. I just give you feedback. Does anyone have any questions for Jay, that put this together? Jay, are you on? Is he on? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was on mute.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Jay? They spent a lot of time putting this together, and I appreciate their time and appreciate city staff time in addressing these. We certainly value all this public input on projects like this. This is what makes us a great city to live. People providing their feedback on how they'd like to shape our city. So, anyone else have any comments? I'll close this.
I have a question
Go
for
ahead, Kim.
Jay. So you asked a lot of questions, Jay, in your email than the letter that you had sent out. And the group of people that you are representing, are they like the presidents of neighborhood associations? Are you, I guess, can you give us a little background on the group of people that you are writing this for?
Appreciate the opportunity to appear here tonight. Just by a little bit of background before I answer that, I've been a resident of Fitchburg for about 35 years. Built a house back in '86 on Osmondson Road, and I've watched a lot of growth occur here. And I'm not against growth, and I love biking. And this project kind of came out of nowhere. We got 2 days notice of this meeting that occurred 2 weeks ago. And I'm not representing anybody but myself and the 5 people in total who signed on to the email. We have all reviewed multiple drafts of it, and we've all worked together to come up with various aspects to these questions. I would like to say again, as indicated in the letter, we're not against improving this section of the road. What we are hoping will be that the environmental impact footprint will be minimized and that no more money will be spent on this than is necessary. I realize there's a TIF available for funding this, and there's apparently, according to the mayor at the meeting a couple weeks ago, $1 million grant out there. But what at least the people who signed this and a number of people we've talked to really question the need for those bike lanes for a couple reasons. One is it's going to lead to the loss of a lot more trees in the area before you start going up the hill. And secondly, it's going to generate a lot of stormwater. And I suspect you'll be hearing more about stormwater issues in the North Stoner Prairie neighborhood and along Lacey Road. There was a meeting the committee of the whole had a hearing on that the other day. And it's a difficult problem to manage stormwater. This proposal includes creating 2 additional detention basins for the stormwater generated by putting in a storm sewer and paving what's now 22 feet, making it approximately 40 feet wide. And so we, for a number of reasons, this is why we ask those questions, and we really, really appreciate the time being taken to take a look at this, because a year ago in January, one of the members of the Public Works Department did a very nice schedule. It was posted, and it's still posted on Fitchburg's website to this day, that said this project, this reach of Lacey Road was supposed to be done this year. Now, something has happened to result in it not being done this year and instead being widened as much as it is. And again, with respect to the widening, there may be certain areas where that's appropriate, but there may be certain areas where it isn't. So again, I appreciate, I'm not representing anybody but myself. I have some neighbors we live in various neighborhoods around here, and we have worked in the past on other matters involving the city, more on planning and sidewalks a number of years ago. So that's the background. Appreciate the opportunity to chat tonight.
Good question, Kim. I would point out that Sue Easterday is on the Parks Commission. Is that right, Scott? I believe that's correct. Still there, Scott?
That is correct, Dave, yep.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So Bill, can you just address one of his comments that he made, because it was scheduled for this year's construction, because they built Commerce Drive like almost up to Lacey, but then did not make the connection. And now it's scheduled for 2022. And according to the resolution, it said, you know, what issues beyond Promega's control, but it would be to the benefit of the city to do it in 2022. Can you just address that briefly?
Sure. Yeah, one of we looked at the schedule as to how it was going to be bid out and all of the design that would go into it. And the timing of the construction would cause the project to be let in midsummer, which is a really busy time for contractors. And we've noticed some pretty big cost increases for contractors to be able to do that, to submit their bids at that time. We also looked at when that does happen, the amount of work that could be done in a half a year, there was no way of really getting it all done in 1 year. We couldn't break the project into chunks that would allow us to get it done in 1 year and still go forward in that 1 year. That's why we broke it. We delayed it for a year to be able to get the acquisition of right-of-way done, to get the utilities relocated ahead of time so that we weren't, causing the contractors some cost increases for the construction that was going to be happening out there.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Bill.
Bill,
Any other? Go ahead, Mike.
And maybe I missed this. Did we get a sense of when, like what time of year this would be happening?
Yeah, we were going to bid out the construction in September of this year.
Okay.
And the contractor may get started with some of the things this year, with stormwater and some utilities being installed, but then next year would be the bulk of the construction.
So early spring before
Right.
summer?
Correct.
Okay. One of the, and I think there's been workarounds with the roundabout at Nesbitt and Fitcherona, but one of the other things to kind of keep the public aware of is what that's going to do to the school traffic. Seminole and Lacey Seminole and Lacey is kind of that corridor for picking up kids before and after school, and then you get the the traffic coming from Sub-Zero as well, and that gets to be a busy corridor that time of year. Summer is always a good time, but it's always a bad time as well. But just wanted to get keep as many people aware of what would be happening with a timing standpoint, so they can make adjustments to schedules and whatnot, especially with buses maybe not being at capacity as they are.
Good question, Michael. Thank you. Good comment. Dave?
Excuse me, I just want to get back to what Mr. Hurst was saying about just the extended bike lane because of the wear of people. With the two quarries, I think just a wider bike lane would be more safer for everybody that's going to bike and walk through the area versus having people riding their bikes out on the road as well there. I think.
You'll get
trucks
debate,
don't
you'll get,
have to
you'll,
deliver.
there's a number of people that'll debate you pretty hard on that, but yeah, I would agree, I agree with you on that point.
I just think it'd be so much safer.
That's a point of contention. I'll just, I guess I'll just leave it at that.
As it is on almost every project.
Thank you, Kim. Very timely. Anything else on this? Jay, thank you for calling in and putting this together. Bill, thank you for the update. We appreciate it. What's the next step on this? What's our next meeting, Bill? Or next, on the schedule, moving this forward?
I think we'll be putting together our Board of Public Works, referral for choosing our cross-section. And we'd be looking to do that, probably within the next meeting or so.
All right.
If we can get all the answers together and it makes sense to do that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, let's close that item. Moving along, as long as you're here, Mr. Balke, on a report from our Director of Public Works, Mr. Bill Balke.
Yeah, we had the informational meeting for Lacey Road. We also had one for Sain Road too, for the reconstruction of that. And I'm not sure if we got the minutes posted up there for that meeting yet, but we had some good attendance, 25 people, some good discussion and some not so good discussion. I guess it got kind of contentious at times, but we tried to do our best to mitigate that. So we'll be summarizing all the points of input that were made, and then coming forward again with, a proposed cross-section for the different areas of, for our design, and then moving forward with that. We're hoping to get that done before May for the selected cross-section on that, and so that we can go forward. What else we got? Highway 14. A pre-construction meeting coming up on that. They're going to be starting construction on Highway 14 bridges again, starting in April, I think it is. So starting to see some more orange barrels out there, and they'll be starting construction on that. The highway, the belt line, that construction for the third or the fourth, whatever you call it, the intermittent lane, the one that they're going to turn the signs on and off that you can drive in once in a while during the day. So that project is going to be starting up too, starting up in April or early May. So they're looking to get started on that project. Fish Hatchery Road is going to be starting up in a couple of weeks too. You'll start to see some orange barrels out there, removing some trees in the area that we're going to be doing tree removal. And then starting in April, we'll see all the barrels up, some more lane changes and things like that. So we've got a pre-construction meeting coming up tomorrow for that, and then a public informational meeting on Thursday from 5:30 to 6:30. And the invite's out there on the city website for that project. So if you're looking to find out some more information about that regarding timelines, what the lane shifts are going to be, traffic control, the proposed construction that's coming up, just you can attend that meeting. It'll be recorded and posted online as well for everyone. And so that project is coming up too. Our subdivisions are starting to kick off again. Fahey Fields, the final phase of Fahey Fields is going to be completed. The next phase of Crescent Crossing is going to get started up in the near future. And so we've got, subdivisions there going on. Terra Vesta construction out there is going to be starting up again to finish up the utilities and paving and road for the first edition out there. And there's probably a couple other ones that we've got going on, but just been pretty busy with getting things ready for construction this year.
Thank you, Bill. Catch your breath. All right. Any questions for Bill?
Yeah, and this isn't necessarily not for this meeting, but one of the things I hadn't heard any negative feedback, only positive feedback on the Lacey Road, or I'm sorry, on the Fish Hatchery Road construction for phase one. So kudos to everybody working on that project. I'd be interested as that gets ramped up, if we could get a breakdown of maybe some lessons learned from the first phase, how it could apply to the phase two, whether it be just better information, things ran that smoothly that we didn't need to do any lessons learned, or if this is just full steam ahead, let's just get it done.
Good.
Any other questions for Bill? Thank you, Bill. Let's move on to agenda item number 7 then, our agenda items. We have a number of resolutions here tonight. I'll start out with the first one, Resolution R 4921, authorizing purchase of two 2022 International HV chassis. Do we have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
Second, moved by Granetsky, second by Wilborn. Bill, want to give us the breakdown on this, why we're purchasing these?
Yeah, one of the vehicles that we're purchasing will be a replacement to our existing fleet. We're placing a single axle dump truck with a tandem axle dump truck. And the second one is a new addition to the fleet, which would be for the Fish Hatchery Road project. This will help us get the snow off the road a lot quicker, and also assist us with hauling snow. So these were in the budget for 2021 for purchasing, and we're moving forward with that right now. The dealer has allowed us to purchase at the 2020 prices for this, as long as we do it quickly. And so we're getting a big discount for doing this. We're also using the same model truck as the county uses, so there's some economy in having the same trucks and the same setups.
Questions for Bill?
These are trucks where we are going to be familiar with the maintenance of.
Correct. We've standardized our fleet to this type of vehicle.
Good.
Bill, have you made a request for an additional person, additional driver, or can this be staff, earned by existing staff?
Unless we have a ghost, we need a new person.
All right.
And we added in the budget for last year that we did hire somebody, or we made an offer to somebody this week, late last week actually, to staff the vehicle as well as do our stormwater maintenance.
Thank you. Any other questions for Bill on this? All right. Call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R-49-21 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, Resolution R-52-21, purchase of pedestrian lights for Terravessa, first edition to Terravessa, Green Marketplace, East Sherrill Parkway, and Central Park Place. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. Bill, again, you want to lead us here?
Yes, as part of our smart code, we have certain pedestrian scale street lighting that we're proposing to put in for the different neighborhoods. And the requirement is for a fluted pole with I don't know, it's like you see in the picture.
A fixture.
I forgot how you would describe it, a teardrop type of
Fixture.
fixture.
Yeah. Okay.
An old traditional type of fixture that you might see in some older downtowns. So we did over the year and a half or so, vet many vendors and come up with a scale light that fits with the neighborhood, and we're asking to purchase these lights for the Terravessa neighborhood, the area in Uptown Crossing and Central Park Place. So you'll be seeing these new street lights in those smart code areas to comply with that. And the cost of that for the poles poles and fixtures are around almost $600,000, but we are purchasing over 200 of them, which will come in shipments of about 30, I understand. So we'll be getting them over the course of 6 months to install those as we get them.
And Bill, I know smart code was kind of a, I don't want to say moving target, but did we got all squared away with how, I remember there was issues, how many lights per every square foot and all that other good stuff. Did we get all that finalized, documented, so we know how to move forward for other neighborhoods?
Yes, we have a light standard for the output that it needs to generate. So based upon that, we put the spacing based on a design of the output.
So it's based on, we need X watts of light per foot or whatever. So that's how we size it. We don't size it. You know, if the light bulb, I guess maybe my question is, if the light bulbs were brighter, would we have less light poles? In general.
In general, yeah, it depends on the height and the wattage.
Okay. And then a little bit unrelated, I have had a couple questions about who does maintain light posts in the city of Fitchburg. Is that the Public Works Department? Is that MG&E?
Yes.
Okay. Who would a neighbor contact? We'll say
It does depend. You would just put in a ticket to the city of Fitchburg and we'll figure it out. Generally, if there's a tag on there with a number, that'll have like 5BB75 or something like that. Those are maintained by MG&E. If they don't have a tag on them, they're maintained by the city of Fitchburg. But we're working on a tag system for the city of Fitchburg so you can determine whether or not who to call.
Very good, thank you.
So Bill, is it also my understanding that the city is sort of like being the middleman in purchasing these and coming up with the standards, but then you're being reimbursed by the developer or by the neighborhood, so that this is not really not ultimately a city expense?
That's correct. Sorry, I forgot to point that out, but it is, they are being reimbursed by the developer or through special assessment for the developments that are going in.
Okay.
Good question. Thank you, Kim. Bill, how many spares are you anticipating? I assume you buy a few spares, or maybe not?
I think we have 4 spares.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And do you also expect to be using this same light fixture and that type of thing in other areas in Fitchburg as they get developed? Are we going to try to keep this as a standard for all the pedestrian lighting and smart code, or does each development get to pick their own?
No, this would be a standard going forward in all of smart code and throughout the city.
Any other questions for Bill on this? Thank you, good discussion. Then we'll call a vote. All in favor of resolution R 52-21, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next, resolution R 53-21. Is that the same? Yeah, 53-21, authorizing acceptance, construction bid for pickleball courts at Fahey Fields Park. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to
Moved by-
accept this.
Moved by Lobdell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Schroeder. All right, Scott, we'll let you handle this. I'll just add, previously in the board, when this came up last year, I felt the timing was bad. Hopefully we're coming out the other end of this thing. The boards, we had 4, it was 2-2, and went to council and was voted down. And I know the council, one of their criticisms was, didn't feel like they had a good breakout of the costs from the contractor, and I assume you addressed that this time, because I'm sure the council will ask the same question again.
we did address that, and actually I might just, a thank you out to Tracy and Thomas from Bill's staff, the engineering staff that helped us put together the bid and get it out to bid. And as you recall, or may not recall, this is a rebid of the project, and when we bid it originally, it was a lump sum project. So that, I think, was some of the concern that the council raised, because they couldn't really itemize. If you look at the project, we basically have the pickleball project is the base bid, which also includes the east-west connection to get to the pickleball court. And then the alternate bid is really the balance or a balance of the development of the rest of the park. If you're familiar with the area, we've got play fields to the north and play fields to the south. And then in the middle, this is going to be kind of our activity area, which will have the pickleball courts and eventually playgrounds and those kinds of things. So to answer the concern of the council, we did do a base bid and then an alternate bid for the project. We did receive five total bids. I will draw your attention to the engineering estimate for both the base bid and the alternate was $652,000 and 647 or 652, 647. And the low bid actually came in at 627,919, which was good. And I think the other budget concern is the mayor did put in a CIP $320,000 for the pickleball courts, and the bid that we did receive, the pickleball portion of it, which is the base bid. Can you? I can't read the base bid. It was under the 200, or it was under the 320,000. I think it was like 290, or I don't know if you guys can see that.
Excuse me, I can see it. It's 298, 694, 90.
Right. So that's the base bid, which is the pickleball courts, and then the path that goes east to west that connects it. So that was the other item that the council was wanting to make sure was, kind of itemized out. And as I mentioned before, these improvements are all paid with park dedication and park improvement fees collected from the Fahey Field development. So that, I think, is an important part of it.
Thank you, Scott. Questions for Scott?
The ongoing maintenance of these would not come from park fees, correct?
That is correct. Once, and this is typical for all of our new developments and the new parks, the cost of the construction is borne by the new residents. But once it's constructed, then it does fall within the general property tax base for maintenance. So yeah, that's a good point.
Any other questions for Scott? I have one. Scott, some friends of mine or some of the younger engineers at work, they play this quite a bit. They're kind of excited. This will be closer than where they go to play. But they said, when there's a group of pickleball courts, it's nice to have a fence or something between the individual courts so they're not chasing the ball over by other people. Is this one set up that way?
It is not, Dave. Actually, we've got a bank of courts, 4 courts to the north and 4 courts to the south. And if you look at the plans, you'll notice that there's difference in distance between the fence and the courts and the southern ones. There's 15 feet. And so those are ADA compliant. And actually, that was a question that was brought up. And actually, where we are receiving support from the local pickleball associations, and really what we're doing here is kind of doing the base project. And the pickleball group was real interested in trying to make improvements, such as, a 4-foot fence, if you would, between all of the courts along with, screens and benches and all of those kinds of things. What we're doing here is basically just the base court, if you would.
I don't mean to get in the middle of the design, that's your Parks Commission and those groups are for, but like I say, that was a comment I had from some of the younger engineers at work.
Yep. And again, Dave, we just wanted to do the most cost-effective way, and this is kind of the base, and certainly it does lend itself for additional improvements, which in turn provides opportunities for the pickleball associations to become involved, and they did seem interested in it, along with the idea of, programming and leagues and those kinds of things where they could even, through the rec department, offer pickleball lessons and offer pickleball leagues and those kinds of things. So, they seem very excited about the project, and it's kind of, that's how the project, projects are successful, where it's a partnership between the city and specific users, and we kind of work together and make it all work.
That's good. Well, when you talk base functionality, you're talking to the right guy here, so, all right. Any other questions? Thank you, Scott. All right, let's call the vote. All in favor of resolution R 53-21, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Sarah.
Scott. Next, resolution 7D, R-5021, purchase of two 2022 tandem plow equipment. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Lobdell, we have a second.
I do.
Second by Wilborn. Bill, assume is this more than just the plow? Is this
It's two of them.
the bed, or the plows, or is this the bed for the trucks too? What's included in here?
Yeah, it's the plow, the dump bodies, the wings, tailgate spreaders, and hydraulic systems that are associated with the equipment
Thank you.
for two trucks.
All right.
The
Questions?
same
from the
two,
board?
the same two trucks that we just approved in the first resolution, I'm
Correct.
assuming?
Yes.
Any questions for Bill on this? All right, then we'll call the vote. All in favor of resolution R-50-21, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, 7E, resolution R-41-21. Resolution authorizing approval of bids for construction of public improvements for East Sherrill Parkway, Promega. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Schroeder, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Grunetsky. Discussion. Bill?
This is a proposed project that is under the TID 4 projects for Promega for East Sherrill Parkway, associated with the new building that they had constructed this year, or over the past couple of years. That'll be opened up this year. The last part of this construction is the resurfacing of East Sherrill Parkway from Fish Hatchery Road to the roundabout, and then up Woods Hollow to Research Park Drive. The project also includes some narrowing of the roadway at Woods Hollow for a pedestrian crosswalk, and the resurfacing of the roadway throughout the project. So this is funded through through Promega and the Tax Incremental Finance District. There's no direct cost. We don't have to have a city project for this, but we are required through public bidding to have the public improvements that are going to be constructed approved by the Board of Public Works and Council.
Any questions for Bill on this one?
No, but it looks like you got a pretty good price out of it, Bill.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing, yep. Okay. All right, then we'll call the vote. All in favor of resolution R-41-21, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, 7F, resolution R-57-21, approving the First Amendment to the agreement for repayment of non-developer project costs. We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Granetsky, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Schroeder. Discussion.
The original agreement that was approved by Board Public Works, Council Finance had some dates on there that ended prematurely with this construction of this project. The amendments just push those dates out 1 year to the end of 2022 to comply with the construction of Lacey Road.
Thank you for staying on top of that, appreciate it. Any questions for Bill on this? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R 57-21, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Last one, 7G, Resolution R 58-21, approving the Second Amendment to the Agreement for Subdivision Improvements in the Payne and Dolan Certified Survey Map. We have a motion to approve this resolution.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Granetsky, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Schroeder, discussion.
The First Amendment to the agreement had the completion date for the construction as February of '22. And we needed to push this date again to the completion date of the end of 2022.
Thank you, Bill. We're staying on top of this. Any questions for Bill? Okay. We'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R 58-21, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 8, next Board of Public Works meeting, March 15th, 2021. Does anyone know that they can't make it right now? All right, sounds good. We'll plan on seeing everyone there. On agenda item 9, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I so move, we adjourn.
Moved by Wilborn, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Granetsky. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned.